Welcome.
Well, welcome back, everybody.
I'm Bud Kennedy.
Well, I'm Steve Wilson. We're here to talk about Pulidos. Let's see if Bud's back here. Hey, Bud, you back?
I'm here. Welcome back, everyone, to another Eat Speed Live, the most delicious live stream in the Metroplex. I'm Bud Kennedy.
And Steve Wilson.
All right, good. Well, we've got guests today because everyone on the Eat Speed pages wants to know when's Pulido's reopening. Tell me about Pulido's. That seems to be the only question anybody's asking. So here we have Gigi, Howell, Marc McBride. They used to work together at Riata. Now they're part of the team that's bringing back the Pulido's Tex-Mex restaurants. Welcome, Gigi and Marc.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
You know, I haven't heard that question yet, so I'm shocked. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Well, you don't know the answer yet, really, do you, or do you?
We're getting pretty close. I'm going to say mid-June would be the latest that we're open. We're getting pretty close. I just left there before I came over here. Things are looking good inside. We're getting there. So I would say about mid-June.
So we could count on going to Pulido's over 4th of July weekend, maybe, something like that.
Heck yeah. Absolutely.
You know, for those of you not familiar, Pulido's is a 57-year-old Tex-Mex restaurant chain founded by the Pulido family, dates back, and I say that you divide up the eras in Texas. You know, in the rest of the world, eras and years are divided up into the years AD and BC. But here we have AD and BC and BF, before fajitas. Pulido's opened back BF before fajitas. Then fajitas came along, frozen margaritas became legal, and then this whole second generation of Tex-Mex restaurants started opening on fajitas and margaritas. But Pulido's goes back to the days when worked in the railroad yard off West Vickery, and he would make he and Dionisio would serve Mexican food to the guys he worked with in the railroad yard, and then he opened up this little restaurant that's about to reopen at 2900 Pulido Street. If you know where the Railhead Smokehouse is, or Flying Fish off Montgomery and Fort Worth, just south of I-30 between Montgomery and University, that's where the that's where the flagship Pulido's is, and that'll be the first one to reopen. When do we get to see a couple more?
Hopefully just a couple months after that, we'll open the Hurst location. A couple months after that, the Eastland location.
Okay, so Hurst and Eastland, you know, kind of in order. Well, GT, Marc, I've done enough talking. Tell us about what you found about Pulido's, what you're bringing back, and what you're bringing that's new.
So we are, I would say our biggest new component is going to be the bar. Before, there was not a large bar at Pulido's, and you could get, you know, your margaritas and your beer, but we're going to have a full bar. In fact, you're speaking about Papa Pulido feeding the people at the rail yard. We're going to name our bar Papa Pulido's Rail Yard Bar. So when you walk in the original restaurant on Pulido Street, when you walk in the front door, to the right is the bar. And that we're going to make that all about Papa Pulido. So a full bar. We'll have frozen palomas, which we're really excited about because those happen to be one of my favorite drinks. I think Marc likes those too. The menu is going to be quite similar. There will be a couple of new things on there, or maybe upgraded things, but the menu will be quite similar.
Steve, I'm not really hearing him talk about the menu. Are you?
Well, I do like the food.
So I will tell you, we have been practicing on all the food. We have just nailed down the salsa. It is so good.
Gigi, we're not hearing you at all. Steve, do you want him to try to?
No,
do you want him to try to?
I can hear him.
You can hear him? I just can't hear him myself. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, we just finished nailing down some of the recipes.
Lead on, Steve.
Keep on going.
We just nailed down some of the recipes. We're super excited. Marc and I, before this, would eat Mexican food pretty much daily, and we worked under the guise of research and development. And the truth of the matter is, we just really love Tex-Mex, so we're super excited to be a part of our own Tex-Mex restaurant.
Well, that's good. Let's see now. Are y'all going to be doing the chili con carne too?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is like one that see, Bud, do you want to talk about chili con carne? I guess Bud can't really hear that well, I guess.
But
We'll
he
have a
looks handsome.
this is like before. I don't have an after yet, but
So that's the before. The after is going to be a little bit different. You won't see many structural differences, but we're certainly going to lighten up the place with decor and paint, and some new furniture. So it's going to be a whole different look when you walk in, but we hope that it feels the exact same, very warm and welcoming.
Steve, did you have that picture of the enchiladas? That was the
Oh, look at
old-fashioned
that.
enchiladas, I think.
That
The
red ancho
Pulido's,
sauce.
yeah, Pulido's, of course, is known for these old-fashioned enchiladas that were like Jimenez made in the 70s, and Pulido's brought them. And then Los Vaqueros and Pulido's are the only two restaurants I know that have them now. They're very nostalgic Tex-Mex old-fashioned enchiladas or home-style enchiladas. That's something different about Pulido's. What did you remember about Pulido's, or what did you like about it, dining at Pulido's?
Mark, you can speak to this if you'd like.
Absolutely, yeah. I moved to Fort Worth probably 15 years ago, so I kind of caught it on the tail end, but always felt welcomed. The customer service there was great. Fortunately, we were able to retain a few of those great people to bring back onto the team, and that's something that we're looking to build off of. But just those kind of, like you were mentioning, those old-fashioned Tex-Mex flavors. I'm not old enough to be. I'm a post fajita guy, but I do enjoy that old school style of Tex-Mex as well. So we're looking forward to bringing that back.
well, Bud's back now. Are you there,
Yeah.
Bud?
Yeah, I am. And Mark, tell me some more about the drinks and what you hope to add to the bar experience at Pulido's.
Yeah, so we have built a new bar in Papa Pulido's bar room that will be able to seat many more guests, but trying to keep that as kind of a more lively area of the restaurant, bringing in a full cocktail list. We'll use house-made syrups, fresh juices, 100% agave tequilas, but we'll have a wide variety of cocktails and spirits to offer, as well as beer on draft and the frozen Paloma, as Gigi mentioned.
There is a whole experience and interest now in, and I'm calling it nostalgia Tex-Mex, because it's like the Tex-Mex restaurants that we grew up going to, and there's a renewed interest in the Tex-Mex restaurants, and it's really separate from the taquerias that open up. A couple of stories lately have been like Taco Deli coming to Hewlin from Austin. Tres Amigos is opening on Magnolia, where Yucatan was, but this Tex-Mex, and it's something that's kind of distinctively Fort Worth, because in other cities, like you still have Matt's El Rancho in Austin, but a lot of places like El Azteca have closed. And but Fort Worth is really known as the headquarters of Tex-Mex. No other city has restaurants like the original, like the Mexican Inn chain, although I know it's owned by Spring Creek now. It's still pretty much the same. Like the Pulido's restaurants, like Los Vaqueros. No other city has so many prominent, flourishing Tex-Mex restaurants, except maybe San Antonio, and I'm not even sure San Antonio. What do you explain as the kind of what the old school Tex-Mex is, or what makes it so popular? Why do people love the idea of Pulido's coming back?
I think, Bud, it's such a comfort to eat food like that. We all grew up eating Tex-Mex, and going to someplace like Pulido's, and I would like to say that most all family-run Tex-Mex restaurants in Fort Worth are all very welcoming. They realize that people could go eat anywhere, but they choose to come to their establishment. And I grew up, every Tuesday we would go to Pulido's and get the half-price enchilada, half-price taco dinner. And so it's kind of comforting to be able to go to those places that you grew up in. It's just like going and having grandma's cooking. It makes you feel good. It takes you back. You feel comforted. And like I said a minute ago, Mark and I could eat Tex-Mex every day, and most of my friends and family can eat Tex-Mex every day. So that's what's keeping everything going. I mean, it's comfort, it's delicious, and it's kind of what you grew up on.
Is there anything new that you're going to be doing with Pulido's?
I do think like freshening up the look and then that bar component. It's nice to go to a restaurant and be able to get a full bar or a cool drink list that maybe you aren't able to get those drinks other places. And it's kind of like what we did at JD's. It's a burger joint, but there's a full bar and there's a great cocktail list. So it's always something kind of fun to look forward to.
Tell me about your other restaurants in the Westland Restaurant Group. You've got Margie's Italian coming back, another revival. You've got, and then you've taken over West Side Cafe, and you started out with the great JD's Hamburgers empire. So tell me all about all the, as they say, you have fingers in a lot of pies. Tell me about all of them.
Well, I will tell you, things started happening really quickly. We opened JD's in September of 22. And then some other opportunities came our way out in that area. And the opportunities were for places that you grew up in and you felt a comfort. And we didn't want to see any of those things go away. I don't think West Side was going to go away, but I think they needed a little, a little group support at the time. So being able to be a part of that place, which you all know is iconic, the food is incredible, the staff is incredible. And we really didn't have to change a whole lot there. So we went in there, did a little facelift, and it's thriving as usual. Like I said, we've not really done much with that because the people that run that already do such an incredible job. Margie's, grew up going to Margie's. My parents met there as teenagers when my mom worked there. It was Burke's father's favorite restaurant. So that opportunity came along and we weren't going to let that go. We still have the gas station that we're going to try to turn into a little cocktail bar, and then around the corner the Longview Baptist Church that we'll try to do a more upscale interior Mexican restaurant there. And I think we've just been really blessed that these opportunities have come along and that we're able to make them work. And as y'all know, Highway 80 used to be a thriving spot. Once 20 and 30 came in, it kind of killed out the area. And we kind of feel like we want that place to be what it used to be. And so we're trying to do whatever we can to make that happen.
And so people know we're talking about the 9800, 9900 block of Camp Bowie West.
Yes, sir.
Which is what we've always called Highway 80 West, but it's the old 1950s highway from really across the country. It was part of, there's a stone on the Capitol lawn. It might be the White House lawn in Washington. That's the Bankhead Highway. It begins in Washington on the lawn and goes south through the south, through Dallas and Fort Worth, down Camp Bowie West, and goes to California. So part of a cross country highway.
Yes.
It was known in old days as Westland. It was a separate little town, and that's why you're now the champion of Westland. You grew up in Westland, right?
Well, my family actually grew up there when my parents had my sister and I. We were actually in the Tanglewood area, but every weekend, every summer, we spent out there with our family that lived out there. And so I do consider it kind of where I grew up. It seemed back then when I was little that it was 3 hours away, to drive out there about 15 minutes. But yeah, I loved being out there.
It was always a place where we would pass through and maybe stop on our way to buy watermelons and cantaloupes at the Weatherford Farmers Market. Because
oh yeah,
then,
absolutely. And
the
stop and buy a
Weatherford
rock at the rock shop.
the way we would stop at the rock shop, definitely. And the Weatherford Farmers Market was where everybody went to buy their fresh melons, because Weatherford was back then it was the growing center, not only for peaches, but for watermelons and cantaloupes. And
It was.
so you would go to Weatherford and get you'd come back with a good cold melon and maybe stop at the rock shop, and that'd help cool you down in a summertime, would be to have a nice cold melon from Weatherford. So
Absolutely.
you come back into Westland. Mark, do you have any other thoughts about Pulido's or about the expansion? What's coming up?
I mean, it's just full of excitement, honestly, at this point. The response that we've gotten from the community, be it via email or social media posts, completely blown away. It's going to be a fun summer.
Yep.
Well, you're reopening. Los Vaqueros will be moving, as we reported this week. They're moving from their current location on North Main across the street to the south. They're moving into the Rodeo Plaza restaurant space. That's been 19,000 different things, but they'll have the big dining room along Marine Creek, and then a big patio on Rodeo Plaza. So Los Vaqueros is moving. Their current location, North Main, will close June 30th. They'll open in the middle of July. So you'll get maybe a month's jump on them before they open their new restaurant. And then, of course, Riata, your old stomping grounds, is moving June 30th and also will reopen sometime in early to mid-July in its new location. Riata is moving 2 blocks away from Houston to Throckmorton. So they're moving back into the base of the old tower where they used to. Were either of you working at Riata in the previous life before the Caravan of Dreams space?
So I got hired and was to begin training just before the tornado. I got hired, and then I was to begin training not long after, and then the tornado hit. So I never got to start there, but did start when the Sundance location, I started there when it opened.
When the new space opened, yeah. And for those who don't know, Riata was on the top of the tower downtown for the first 10 years or so before the 2000 tornado. It actually reopened for a while, tried to repair and reopen, and then, but the whole tower building needed so many repairs that they had to give up on that, and they moved down into the Caravan of Dreams. But Riata, the whole building was just devastated by a tornado, and it so happened that at the time the National Weather Service was having a meeting, having a dinner in Riata, so all the weather forecasters got a look at the storm coming in. But and that video's on the internet. It's pretty impressive. So, well, I'm sorry, I'm off. I had to ask you about Riata too. But our guest, Gigi, Howell, Marc McBride from Pulido's, part of the team that's reopening Pulido's Mexican Kitchen. What's the exact name? Pulido's
Kitchen and Cantina.
Pulido's Kitchen and Cantina.
Correct.
On
Yes,
2900 Pulido Street in Fort Worth, off of between University and Montgomery, between Vickery and I-30. I know you don't know where it is, but look back there, you'll find it. And so it's kind of tucked away, and just get off of the Chisholm Trail Parkway and circle back around and keep going until you think you're at a dead end and you're probably at Pulido. So
That's right.
Come up behind the Spring Hill Suites and you'll find it. So thank you to the team from Pulido's for telling us about it. They'll be reopening Margie's Italian. They'll be opening an old gas station as a bar. They'll probably reopen some other nostalgic restaurants years before they're done. So they're bringing all the old restaurants back. They're bringing all the old restaurants back to life. Thank you, Gigi, Marc, very much. And at least while I've still got a signal here, I'm going to say thanks everybody, and see you again on another Eat Speak Live. I'm Bud Kennedy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.